Hello students, today I am going to teach you chapter 1 from chemistry, and the name of the chapter is chemical reactions and equations. So student, first of all I would like to tell you that you should not run to the market to buy books or notebooks. I suggest you to download your book, your textbook, and you may start reading chapter wise. And also, whatever notebook that you have or notebook of your previous years, you may start writing your notes in them. So let's begin this chapter 1, chemical reactions and equations. So students, chemical reaction happen all the time, in all the season, everywhere or anywhere. So many of them we notice, and I'll begin with this introduction with a few examples of the chemical reaction that we see generally in our daily life. For example, milk, which is if kept outside in summer, gets spoiled and it becomes sour, right? If iron particles in humid atmosphere or if left outside in moist weather, they rust. Another example is grapes in ordinary temperature. So grapes, if not stored in fridge this weather, they rot, and this is because of fermentation. So all these examples we notice generally in our daily life, and let me tell you, all of them are chemical reaction. The souring of milk is a chemical change. Rusting of iron article is a chemical change. And rotting of fruit or rotting of grapes due to fermentation is also a chemical change. There is another example, digestion of food. Digestion of food is also a chemical change because many of the gastric juices and even the hydrochloric acid which is there in the stomach do chemical reaction on the food and food particles and convert them into carbohydrate. Respiration is also a chemical phenomena because it takes place in each cell of our body, and while doing this it produces energy. So all these examples are example of chemical reactions. So in all these things that you see, the nature and the identity of the initial substance have somewhat changed. Milk has become sour, iron has developed a flaky brown color substance on its surface, and here the smell and the taste of grapes changes. Now, what is a chemical reaction? So, to explain this, in your book you have 3 activities, and the activity 1 is like this. This is burning of magnesium ribbon. Magnesium is a metal. For experimentation, it is converted into a ribbon form. So in lab, you must have seen magnesium ribbon. And if we burn this magnesium ribbon in air, it produces magnesium oxide. right? So it means burning of magnesium ribbon produces magnesium oxide. Now magnesium, when burns, it gives white dazzling flame. Your book says white dazzling flame, but I would rather suggest you to write white dazzling light. And magnesium metal turn into white color ash, that is magnesium oxide. So these are the two observations that we make. These are the two observations that we make when magnesium ribbon is burned. Number one, magnesium burns with white dazzling light. Number two, magnesium turn into white colored ash, which is magnesium oxide. Next example is reaction of lead nitrate. This is PbNO3 whole twice with potassium iodide. So what happens, this lead nitrate is a white colored powder substance, and potassium iodide also colorless. When both are mixed together, another colored substance, that is yellow colored insoluble substance, appear, and potassium nitrate in dissolved form in aqueous, it's written here aqueous, it means we will see this, we see solution, and insoluble substance, which is lead iodide, which will be of yellow color, precipitate. Precipitate means insoluble substance will be observed. It means the substance which was white colored or colorless in solution form changes into yellow color or develop yellow color precipitate. Third example is reaction of zinc metal with hydrochloric or sulfuric acid, right? So zinc metal, which is mentioned in your book as zinc granule. So what is granule? When zinc metal is made into, turn into small pieces. So we'll take few pieces of zinc metal and add hydrochloric acid into a conical flask like this, right? It's a conical flask, cone shaped flask. So we have taken zinc metal and hydrochloric acid, and we'll put a cork with a tube, glass tube. So what will happen? Immediately we'll see the bubbles of gases will start forming, okay? And through this glass tube, the gas which will liberate will be hydrogen gas. But hydrogen is a colorless and odorless gas, so we will not be able to see. So we'll have to do a test for it, which I'll tell you later. But during this reaction, zinc, when react with hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid, will produce hydrogen gas, right? So what do we observe? There are two observations when this chemical reaction is carried out. Number one, hydrogen gas is evolved. Number two, beaker becomes hot. or rather we should say beaker become warm. So whenever a chemical reaction occurs or take place, following things can happen. Any one or any two. Change in state will take place, as you have seen in case of reaction of burning of magnesium ribbon. Magnesium ribbon turn into white ash. So change in state takes place. Second, change in color, which you had seen in this reaction of lead nitrate with potassium iodide. We see yellow color, insoluble substance. Third observation is evolution of gas. So in case of this reaction, we observe hydrogen gas is liberated. A fourth, change in temperature. So here we also observed the beaker or the conical flask in which this reaction is carried out become warm. So heat is evolved. So students, whenever a chemical reaction takes place, any of these things can happen, or maybe combination of these things can happen. Now, the next point is chemical equations. So chemical reactions, when are written, they are written in the form of equations. So first reaction that we discussed, the burning of magnesium ribbon, here it is written as magnesium plus oxygen, magnesium oxide, right? So while writing this equation, this is a chemical reaction actually. When magnesium ribbon burns, it burns in oxygen, combines with oxygen of the air and become magnesium oxide. Now you notice this chemical equation. Here magnesium and oxygen, they are taking part in chemical reaction, so they are known as reactants. Magnesium oxide is product. Now, if you notice, magnesium oxide is at your right hand side. Magnesium plus oxygen, both reactants are at your left hand side. So reactants are on the left hand side, whereas products form is written at right hand side with a arrowhead here. You can see a arrowhead, right? So this reaction, since written in words magnesium, oxygen and magnesium oxide, since this is written in word, this chemical reaction or equation is called word equation, right? So word equation has two parts. First is reactant, as I told you, and the other part is product, which is magnesium oxide. Now reactants, what are they? They are substances that undergo chemical change. and they are written on the left hand side, and they are written with plus sign between them. Now let us see what are products. Products are new substance formed, and they can also be written with plus sign between them. But in case of this reaction, we have two reactants here, but single product. But there will be chemical reaction that you will study where you may have more than two or more than two products. Now, what is the meaning of this arrow that we have put here? Right? This is arrowhead. It has two reasons. It explains this way. It points towards products. Right? These are reactants. They are products. This is product, I'm sorry. It also shows the direction of the reaction. What we are talking about? We are talking about this arrow which points towards product. So this arrowhead points towards product, number one. Number two, shows the direction of the reaction. I hope you have understood this. Now, writing a chemical equation. What does that mean? How should we write a chemical equation? Right? See, students, if you see this reaction, magnesium plus oxygen, magnesium oxide, right? So this is, since it is a word reaction, so much of long words we'll have to write. Suppose we have a chemical reaction in which there are more than one product. It would be too long to write. And this word reaction does not give any idea about number of atoms or molecules are taking part in the chemical reaction. So, for writing chemical reaction or equation, we need to write symbols and chemical formulas of the compounds taking part in chemical reaction. I hope you remember the symbol of magnesium. If you see this, magnesium, oxygen, this is a molecule of oxygen, and product formed is magnesium oxide, which is a compound or a molecule of compound. A molecule of magnesium oxide. Here, now this method of writing tells us number of atoms taking part in the chemical reaction. Am I right? Now see here, magnesium. When we write magnesium, it is a symbol of metal, magnesium, and this means one atom of magnesium, right? This is oxygen, a molecule of oxygen, and it has two atoms of oxygen. Arrowhead. In the compound of magnesium oxide, there is one atom of magnesium and one atom of oxygen. Clear? So writing chemical equation with the help of symbols and formulas of compound makes very concise and easy for us to understand the number of atoms taking part in a chemical reaction. Now students, please do observe this chemical reaction. Okay, here there are number of atoms written, right? Now let us see, magnesium has one atom, oxygen has two atoms. In product of magnesium oxide, magnesium has one atom and oxygen has one atom. Now if you see as a whole, the number of atoms taking on right hand side of the chemical reaction and number of atoms taking part at left hand side should be equal. You know why? According to the law of chemical combination, as you studied in 9th standard, mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. So, number of atoms should remain same, even though the new substance is formed. Am I right? Here it is magnesium metal, oxygen, but here the product is magnesium oxide, which is white colored ash, is entirely a new product. So it means the number of atoms on both sides are not equal. Such chemical reaction where number of atoms are not equal on left hand side and right hand side, such reaction is called unbalanced or skeletal chemical equation, because the number of atoms on both sides are not equal, right? So what do we do? Then there is a need to balance this chemical equation. According to the law of chemical combination, there is a need to balance this chemical equation. How do we do it? See, here magnesium was 1, oxygen 2, magnesium 1 and oxygen 1. Now I'll start from here. This is a molecule of oxygen having 2 atoms of oxygen. So what will I do? To equalize on both sides, I will put 2 here, right? So while doing so, how many magnesium atom would it be? It will become 2. This 2 will multiply it with 1 atom of oxygen. So oxygen become 2. Now if you see here, oxygen atom become 2. Here are also 2. But magnesium has 1. So to make it equal in the product, I will put 2 over here. Now count atoms on both sides. Magnesium 2 atoms, oxygen 2 atoms, Magnesium 2 atoms, oxygen 2 atoms. You can see this side. So 2 into Mg, 2 atoms of magnesium, and 2 into oxygen 1 atom. What does that mean? This actually it is explained here in this way. 2 into 1 magnesium atom become 2 magnesium atom. 2 into 1 oxygen atom become 2 atoms of oxygen. So such reaction is known as balanced chemical equation. Right? So this reaction is a balanced chemical equation. This is unbalanced chemical reaction or equation having unequal number of atoms on right hand side and left hand side. Right? So student, I give you a question here. Why do we balance a chemical equation? Right? So according to law of conservation of mass, mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. That is, total mass of the elements present in the products of, that the total mass of the elements present in the product of a chemical reaction has to be equal to the total mass of the elements present in the reactants. In other words, number of atoms of each element remain the same before and after chemical reaction. Hence, we balance a chemical reaction. So students, I would like you to write this answer in your notebook, and you may start learning this topic. Now I will teach you how to balance chemical reaction. Okay? Students, you'll have to forgive me because this is very first time I am doing this exercise. I'm making video for you. Please forgive me if something you find not very clear. Maybe I'll try to do my best for the next video.